your love light come into me. Show me what I need to see.
Welcome to the Small Victories Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline Victoria, an inspirational thought leader that offers transformational perspectives based on my unique experiences as a woman born without arms and legs. I feel like my life has been full of small victories that has led me to discover the greatness within. I believe that there is no summit upon which we reach our greatness. I believe it is a culmination of small victories achieved moment by moment when we turn toward the inward battle where we get to choose despair or hope, misery or miracles, defeat or victory. My goal is to awaken your potential, your purpose, and your power so that you can discover the greatness that lives within you. Think of this podcast as your weekly portion of tools, stories, and teachings that help you reflect on the small victories in your life. Thanks for tuning in, and let's begin. Welcome to another episode of the Small Victories Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline Victoria. Have you ever known you were meant for more, but still hesitated to be seen? Not because you didn't care, not because you didn't have something valuable to say, but because showing up fully requires courage. And courage is rarely loud or dramatic. More often, it's quiet, it's shaky, it's a choice we make again and again. Today's episode is a little different. I am bringing together a panel of speakers, coaches, and authors from completely different walks of life, different industries, different messages, different experiences. But what ties them together isn't what they do. It's the courage it takes to be seen doing it. These are real conversations about fear, visibility, identity, and the small victories that happen when you stop waiting to feel ready and start showing up anyway. If you've ever questioned your voice, your timing, or whether the world really needs what you carry, this conversation is for you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Small Victories Podcast. How are you?
How are you, Miss Victoria?
I'm great. So if you're watching this, I want you to know this is taken live from a visibility mastermind session called Step Into the Spotlight. And these are my clients and the people I've been on this visibility journey, not just for them, but for myself as well, for the last, 3 years. It's been a full 3 years, everybody. And what I love about this group and who I would work with and who I choose to work with is that they are people that are willing to stare fear in the face. And I don't know how else to say it, but give it the middle finger, honestly, and say, I'm done. I'm done listening to the fear, and I'm going to step out on faith. And so that's what we're here to talk about today, guys. I really am appreciative for you to be on this podcast. And I'm just going to do a round conversation about courage and visibility. I'm going to ask the first question, and not everyone might be able to answer every single question. I might pick out one person here, one person there for different questions. And as I ask this question, I'd love for you to just share in 10 seconds your name and who you serve. So, Randall, I'd like to start with you. And the question I'd like to ask you is, when you hear the word courage, what does it mean to you in this season of your life or business?
Pauline, my name is Randall Gilbert, and that's a great question. And my answer to it is that when I think about the word courage, that means that I might find myself by myself, because people can tell you one day you can do a certain thing and you run across somebody else, then they tell you what you cannot achieve. So you have to have a made up mind when it comes to stepping outside of the box, putting yourself in that uncomfortable position of learning. And we have learned that when we are uncomfortable, that's when we get our greatest gift of gain. So when I think about courage, I think about walking this out in the beginning on my own with a decision that this is what I'm going to do. And I've got to trust that along this route, as I grow, there will be other people who will come my way and walk with me.
And hopefully, as part of the Visibility Mastermind, we all have chosen to come with you on this journey.
And I am honored.
Same. Anthony, I'd like to ask you, Randall said something about you got to make up your mind. What did you have to make up your mind about in order for you to choose to be part of this mastermind and take the courage to join and step up?
I think you have to make up your mind on becoming your best at that. And that means you have to decide. There's a decision we have to make every single day. And thanks for inviting me to your show, Pauline. And hello, Susan and Mr. Relentless Fathers. But what we have to do in this space where we are, what I decided to do was create value and to embrace responsibility and to adopt with courage. So that relates to my C method in my school community, where I'm inviting individuals to come join me based off of understanding the four pillars of the four C's. The four method is clarity, which gives you direction. If you understand exactly clearly where you want to go, then you can begin to build a bridge to getting over to abundance, to a brighter future, to a brighter lifestyle. And then the next one is conviction. So conviction is about belief. It gives you the power to know that this is achievable, but you have to believe without anyone else accompanying you, because it's your beliefs that matters the most. And again, we want to talk about another thing is courage. Courage gets you started. Every day you need to be working towards your vision that you decided this is where I'm going to be. This is what I want to be doing. And these are the people that I want to impact. And lastly, you have to be consistent. There should not be one day go by that you don't do any type of work. As I say daily, work never ends. So clarity makes you unstoppable. Every day you're going to do something, whether it's reading, creating content, having a podcast, interviewing somebody, or going to a workshop. So you have to continue to do the greater work, and that's what we're here to do. So that's what this mastermind is all about, and that's what courage, in my mind, is all about.
Thank you so much. Convicted. I love that part of the C, because sometimes all you have is the conviction in your mind and in your heart, and it's what keeps you going. It's like the motor behind it, and it's almost like you can't stop yourself from doing it. And the conviction is so important because it's still not easy, even if you feel convicted, to say yes to being visible. Susan, if you could also share about who you help or what you bring into this world in your message, but what has been the most uncomfortable thing about having this conviction but becoming visible?
First of all, Susan Flershinger, thank you, Pauline, for first of all, the mastermind and being able to be on this little panel with you. My business is formed to soar. And what that means is you have a life that God has created for you, and you are meant to soar. You are meant to be the best version of yourself. You are meant to be living a miraculous life, and you have been given gifts to do that. And you've also been given gifts to be who you're meant to be in the world. And so for me, that is where the conviction comes from, because I have learned that is my role, to be who God has created me to be in my heart, my mind, my spirit. And so each day when I feel like, do I really need to be doing something that's this or that? And it's, yes, you have a role that you have been given. And I am in daily conversation with God, with the divine, with the angels on what's the best pathway today. What's the thing that is best for me to bring to the world what God wants me to bring to the world. And the conviction really does come from that divine communication and conversation. Because I inherently have a drive to do what I'm meant to do and be the best version of me, that's not a piece of it of saying, God, am I going to do this or not? It's just what I do every day. I check in, I see what's going on in my life, my family, and then, okay, do I need to do something there? Or what's in my purpose? What am I meant to be doing? And what's the step that I'm taking today?
Yeah. So has there been any discomfort in you stepping into what God has called you to do and become?
More often than not. Because being visible in that and working the way that I work and calling upon God and the angels is not a common thing. And it doesn't, in my world, it doesn't fit well in how we show up. And I have had a hard time showing up in the platforms the way that they are created right now to show up. And so I show up for my family, I show up for my clients, I show up for the people that I'm around without hesitation. But when I have to show up in a platform like a YouTube, like a Facebook, like a thing where it's who's the world that's showing up with me, I don't always want to be in that world because they're not the people that I'm serving, and or at least I haven't allowed them to be the people that I'm serving. So every bit of learning these and stepping into those platforms has been 100% uncomfortable. And I'm just doing the best I can, and I'm making strides each day of putting myself where I need to be, even though it isn't quite a fit yet.
It's not easy, and this is why I call all of you courageous when it comes to this work, because Randall says all the time in our mastermind that there's a lot of people who have ideas and say they want to make an impact, but to actually put the work and do what it actually takes to make that impact, not everyone is going to finish that race. Not everyone is going to start that race. They're going to allow the idea to come and go. And Susan, that's what you do, is you help people see that idea, see the vision of who they can become at their highest potential, and help them soar in that, give them the tools to soar for that. And Randall, you help fathers raise children to be able to soar, to help them become the best human beings they can become when they're adults. And fatherhood, any parenting, is not an easy step. And people do it anyway, right? And so this is what you guys do, is that it's not easy. It's not comfortable. We're constantly walking the edges of our comfort zone, and you show up anyway. Probably if I were to give an award in this group, not that anyone, that it's not a comparison, but that has I've seen the most conviction or commitment and consistency, it is Randall Gilbert. He started with this mastermind as part of the challenge that originally jump-started this mastermind as a 60-day go live visibility challenge. And he didn't stop at 60 days. He kept going every Monday through Friday. You can catch him on Facebook doing his thing. And I want to ask you, Randall, how has stepping into a greater visibility role changed how you see yourself?
Something that is personal, that happened personally to me, and I never thought that it would be what the good Lord would use as a determining factor for my life, and that is to encourage fathers. That is to encourage fathers to be the very best that they can be. And if they don't know how to, there is a platform or an opportunity, a group of brotherhood. They can come and join a brotherhood that will walk with them and that will talk with them, and no man is left behind. But I didn't know my biological father. And I know that there were a lot of things that I missed growing up. And the promise that I made to myself before my children were ever born, that they would never know what it felt like or feels like to have an absentee dad. And along the way, when I made that decision, it's amazing the people who came into my life to teach me how to be that father. And my children have benefited tremendously. So I know, fathers, that when we make the decision that we're going to be that relentless, loving, impactful father, it can be done. And if it can happen for me, believe me, it'll happen for you.
So how have you seen yourself now that you've taken that message to the world stage?
I see myself as being one that has been called the messenger, the encourager, the one who will not allow fathers to go unaccountable. You can do this. It is difficult. You didn't mess things up overnight. So I want you to get it right now that you can't fix it overnight. So I need to be the one that comes with that message, that consistent message all the time. When other people will say what you cannot do, my voice will sneak in and say, but Randall said I can. He told me his story. He shared with me his family, even a blended family, and it's work. So if Randall put forth the effort, I'm making the decision right now because of what he's doing, his commitment, his passion for it. I'm gonna align myself with him.
So do you feel like stepping into a greater visibility has held you more accountable to getting that message out there?
Yes, definitely. It has definitely done that. A young lady by the name of Pauline challenged me to step in front of the mic and begin to talk. Didn't have clarity. Only thing I knew, I wanted to be a motivational speaker. But I truly didn't have clarity on who I was going to talk to, or I didn't feel the clarity, not until I started talking about fathering. And the more I talked about it, it began to say, yeah, you're right in your wheelhouse. This is where you need to be. And as somebody so eloquently told me, to stay in my lane. In other words, become the very best at this. Therefore, you can make and have an impact on lives wherever you go.
That's beautiful. I do say that a lot in this mastermind is that don't be afraid of the person that knows 10,000 moves. Be afraid of the person that knows one move but has practiced it 10,000 times. We have to become the absolute masters and experts in the niche that or people or problem that we want to serve and help within the world. And Randall, you've done that. And it's visible on the outside too, right? You show up every day, Monday through Friday without fail. You have a school community. There's all sorts of things that you're doing to get the message out there and reach as many people as you can possible. But a lot of visibility has to do with what's not visible, with what happens underneath us and in us. And so I want to ask you, Anthony, and you didn't get a chance to tell people what you do and who you serve. So if you could do that now, and then I'd like you to answer the question, what is one small victory that most people wouldn't notice but meant everything to you?
This question I'll answer is, what's one small victory that most people wouldn't notice that is important to me? I think challenging yourself to finish. Own Your Voice is a book, a project that I put together, and I wasn't completely aware of the magnitude and the impact it would have on lives, but most importantly, that it would have on me. And Own Your Voice, you can see it in Amazon, you can get it on Cash Apps, you can get it off my website. Core beliefs and convictions is about owning your voice, meaning taking responsibility for what you believe, how you speak, and how you act, especially when fear, uncertainty, doubt creeps up. It peeks its head when you're deciding that you want to become better, you want to do better, you want to behave different. It is the decision to step into your greatness, the bridge toward growth, abundance, and alignment with your God-given gift. You have a purpose. Everybody here was created for a purpose. And most people remain where they are because the bridge represents discomfort, responsibility, and faith. And you have to have a voice that is with courage to step towards your certainty before it even arrives. You got to know that where I want to be, it's possible. It's made for me to be there. You just got to determine that you're going to take one more step. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. And we have to learn to speak our voices and mean what we say. And that's the courage that you're going to have to be able to reach your destiny. And Romans 10:10 says, but and confessions lead to transformation. It's important that you reach deep inside because it's an inside job. Everybody thinks that we got to go somewhere to get somewhere. You got to start within. You got to stand in that mirror. And if some of us, I've heard Randall say it all the time about looking in that mirror, and that's that good book. Sometimes you're going to have to allow the word to get in you so you can get in to your purpose, because that's where it's at. It'll unfold. It'll develop. It'll reveal itself if you read into what the word says about you. We have to begin to see ourselves the way the Creator sees us. And Plato said, learning and growing flourish through invitation, not force. So self-authoring, people change when they articulate who they are becoming. And that's the reason I say we need to work on every day becoming your best asset. It's possible as you believe, though.
I love that. You said so much in that. If you missed any of that, go back and rewind and re-listen to what Anthony was saying. It's quite deep. And this bridge is not visible. It is invisible. It's something that you have to take on and say, I'm going to cross this bridge. And it's the responsibility, faith, and what was you said something else about that bridge. What was it?
Yes, it's about faith, and it's about making that decision to go across that bridge, it's not going to happen by you standing still. You have to step within yourself, stand up inside yourself, even when fear, insecurity, mistakes, all the things that causes you to not want to represent who you are. So faith and responsibility requires you to have the courage to do that. So you have to use your voice and encourage yourself to step forward before any type of certainty appears and arrives. And that's what faith is. The ability to see the invisible, but believe the impossible.
I love that. So good. If anyone is interested in learning more about Anthony, he has a book called Own Your Voice. He has a podcast. It's all about expressing yourself and having the courage to own it. And in order to own your voice, you have to be very aware of who you are. And something that we can battle a lot in our visibility journey as messengers, as coaches, authors, and speakers is this idea that we have to be like everybody else, or "Oh, we got to be like that person, or we got to be like this person, and they're doing well, so maybe I need to be more like take on their persona more." And that is not something I would encourage any of the people that are currently in my mastermind or any future people in my mastermind, because the best person you could be is yourself, and you are the best you. And so, Susan, I'd love for you to answer this question around that being who you are. What does it mean to be seen as you are, not as who you think you should be?
Seen as I am. I think it really is letting all of the stuff fall away, be cleared away. That is who other people think you are, their projections, the stuff that you have doubts about, the just everything that really doesn't serve the best version of you. And we have choice in that. We can do things in our convictions, in our everyday who we are and what we want to be by choosing it. And sometimes you need a little help if things are so deep that you can't seem to get past some of the stuff that you're doing or that you're exhibiting or the way that you're being, which is what a whole bunch of what I do is when you can't get through all this stuff yourself to see who God created you to be, see who the magnificence that you are. And that can come in a lot of forms. And for me, God told me, I write these Dear God letters every day and kind of have a process for that because it lets me hear and see what those divine words and intentions are, because sometimes it's hard to just pick them up by listening. And I have learned that when I write those things, and if there's things going on that are causing me difficulty or relationship problems, I do a Dear God letter and I ask, what do you want me to do with this? How can I move past so that we can have the relationship that we want, that I can be the person that I'm meant to be? And so it really is having that dialogue internally, just like Anthony said, it's an inside job. It's in your heart. Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And what's that divine flow that of who that is? And it's taking the time to listen, to operate, to apply in my world, the frequencies that help clear some of that stuff away and be who you're meant to be. And maybe it's pain that's slowing you down. So there's ways to say, how do I move forward with this? What is this trying to tell me? Is this something that I need to keep with? And that's okay. What's the next thing that's keeping me from being who I'm meant to be and stepping into the greatness? And so we all have a choice. And luckily that I've learned to use, again, God is that. I'm learning to learn to listen and talk with the angels because they all are messengers so that I can be the messenger out in our world that I'm supposed to be.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes who we are is so buried under what other people told us we were supposed to be, or the lies of doubt and not feeling like I were enough. And so having somebody be able to, first of all, see you as who you're created to be, and then help bury that person. And sometimes we just have to remember who that person was. Because usually when we're kids, we haven't been buried by all the trash of other people. that when we are able to have a community around us, or have someone like Susan around us, or have Randall remind us who we are as a father, or Anthony and how we express ourselves, like all of that to me, it's done better in a community, because sometimes we can't see us. We have blind spots. We can't see who our authentic self is. And if we have other people, and sometimes it's not easy to hear someone call us out on things, to be like, stop it. The virtual slap in the face, stop it. Disrupt that thinking. This is who you are. And when we can really embrace who we are and show up as that only, not who we think we need to be, not in comparison to other people, then I think that's when people feel the most connected to you. I'm going to do a lightning round really quick as we close out this podcast episode. I'd like you to finish the sentence. Visibility has taught me. Randall, go.
Visibility has taught me to never give up, to never doubt myself. There's going to be pain, then deal with it. Understand that through the pain, I grow. On the other side of the pain, I'm prepared for the next.
Thank you. Anthony, visibility has taught me.
Visibility has taught me owning your voice is refusing to live muted by fear, discomfort, and doubt. Choosing clarity, courage, and also taking action and aligning with who you are and who you were created to be.
Thank you. Susan, visibility has taught me.
Visibility has taught me that you can change and be who you want to be every day. I started out as a software engineer, and now I'm working with the angels and changing lives in a whole different way. And you get to choose that, and you get to be different every day, and you get to step out and be visible in the best way possible. And it can change from day to day. You have the courage and the choice to do that.
Thank you. Thank you all for being part of this podcast. It's my first panel podcast episode. Hopefully it was enjoyable for you too. And thank you for helping me grow in this as well. And to the listener, as you're listening to these voices, I want to invite you to notice what's stirring inside you. Because courage isn't something only a few people are born with. It's something we practice. It's built in the small moments, the decisions to speak, to share, to step forward, even when doubt is present. A victorious life isn't about never being afraid. It's about choosing not to let fear be the deciding voice. It's about honoring the small victories that come from showing up as you are and trusting that your presence matters. Wherever you are right now, whatever step feels just a little uncomfortable, let this be a reminder. You don't have to wait until you feel confident to live courageously. Confidence grows because you choose courage. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Small Victories Podcast. And until we meet again, be blessed.
Come into me, show me what I need to see.